Welcome to the Be That Healing Girl podcast. And on this episode, we're going to talk about what breaking the anxious avoidance cycle actually takes. This is going to be a really great episode for you if you notice that there's a bit of a push-pull sort of dynamic thing going on in your relationship, right? Where you want and have a tendency to kind of rush in. There's like a frenzied feeling, and they tend to draw back. Right? And that could be like more specific to conflict, but it can also feel like when you have this desire, or you tend to be the one that is pushing to make the plans, or you're really driving things in the relationship, right? It feels really heavy for you and like you're doing a lot, but then there's this dip, right? It can kind of feel like, again, like this push-pull dynamic. And what I see and what I know about, if you are listening to this podcast, or if you have listened to the podcast before in any episodes, you don't want to be in this cycle, right? It feels like so frustrating. You don't want to be doing it, but you at the same time cannot freaking help it, okay? Despite being really independent, despite like having a lot of things that are good happening in your life, you really feel like this is like a big rough point in your relationship. And even though things are great, they're really wonderful, it can be so hard, right? You feel like you work and spend a lot of time and a lot of energy and a lot of brain space not being in this push-pull, and at the same time, here you are, right? So you know that you don't want to push them, right? In fact, you want the opposite. You want things to feel easy. Part of you really knows and can see very clearly that they are awesome, and you really want to be able to relax. You want to be able to go with the flow, but it really feels hard. It feels next to impossible, I would say. And maybe you do the planning and get upset because they didn't plan it, right? You're putting all this energy and time and thought into it, and you're like, why didn't they plan it? So if any or all of that is you, you are in the right place. And if you're new here, my name is Clare. I'm a relationship coach. I love helping high-achieving people who are, you've got it together. Your resume, your LinkedIn is tight, baby. It's tight. You got it locked in. But when it comes to the relationship, it feels so loose, like the just wheels are going to fall off, right? If you don't keep things together on the ship, the wheels are just going to frickin' fall off, not the ship, but the automobile, right? The car. And I know that if this is something that you're going through, I have totally been there. This is what I do. Eat, breathe, sleep, poop all day with clients is this very thing. So really excited that you're here. And if this episode is helping and you're liking it, and any of the episodes that you've probably binged already are helping, 5 stars. Thank you for doing it. Takes 2 seconds. Appreciate it. And let's dive into some things, and also make sure I like the way that I teach is very layered. So make sure to listen all the way, because I'm going to share what I did and what I learned to break it. And it's going to be a bit of a different perspective. So make sure to listen all the way. And I also have something that came up for me recently that made me really reflect on, wow, this is so different now. So can't wait to talk about it. And quick shout out to my one-on-one client, S, we'll call her. And she has a new relationship. And in the past, her ex that we helped navigate through, it was like pulling teeth, my goodness, to make the plans, my goodness. And there were challenges in that relationship, but yeah, she had a lot of trouble getting her partner or being in a relationship where things felt easy, and it definitely felt like pulling teeth to make the plans. And now she's dating again, different situation, but we've worked so diligently on the tools, and now the person that she's dating is literally, and she's dated a couple people, and it's gotten better and better, literally better and better each time. I'm thinking about having her on the podcast, but she's getting all the things she wants. And I want to just be clear, it's not because she's dating, the external is different. I want to just make a note of that. It's not because she picked the right guy, it's the right thing. No, she became somebody totally different. She changed. The circumstance didn't change. She changed. Because, how do I know this? The people that she's dating, and the first one, not a good fit. Second one, but was making plans, like was really initiating a lot of things. Second relationship that she's dating, just started, of course, initiating, reaching out, doing all the things because she changed. Okay, straight up. So, which also made me think about me, and I was thinking about this weekend. I was feeling pretty restless, like having this desire to plan things and make them happen, and I recognize, like, I'm going out of town to go see some family, and I need to freaking focus on my stuff. And just like that, Craig called me up on his way home. He's like, hey, coming home, be ready. We're going to go do this. And I was like, oh, see, like, got to get focused on me, focus on what I'm doing. And it's actually that easy. So but if it's not feeling easy, let's talk about it, right? So you want them to make the plans, right? You want them to make the plans, and I just want to say, well, how can they if you're making all the plans? I know. How can they make the plans, y'all, if you are making all the plans? We'll talk more about it, but I know that you think you're being helpful, all right? I know that you think that, okay, I'm being helpful. I'm doing the research. I'm going to make it so easy for them, right? I know that you're thinking that you're being helpful, but what you're actually making it is hard for them to show you, and you're making it hard for them to show up for you. Because I know, I get it. You think that you have to be easy, but again, when you make yourself accessible, and I'm not saying that you have to then be difficult, right? I'm not saying that, but when you are just like a pushover, I'll just say that. When you are a pushover and you are like so easy that literally, like, I love you, but like, where's the backbone, right? It's actually making it harder for them to show up, because being easy does make the relationship more difficult. And that's like a bigger topic, but when it comes specifically to that, the dynamic, a lot of times our anxiety is so in the land of what if that you try to eliminate that, right? And when you try to make things easier, you end up, or make yourself easy, you make things more difficult. And trying to be convenient, right? And this is what I kind of mentioned earlier. And so this is related directly to what I'm going to share right now, which is when you keep working at it so hard, when you are manufacturing or trying to shape what we want by forcing, or I'll just say manipulating, right? We're kind of moving the pegs and the cogs around to make things easier for the other person, then it's almost like you're trying to force intimacy. Now look at that phrase by itself, force intimacy. When you try to be easy and you try to move all the things to be convenient for somebody else, you are literally trying to force intimacy. Do you want to have forced intimacy? I'll say that again, because I think you're not maybe picking up on the power of that. Do you want to have forced intimacy? No. That is not what we want, right? We don't want to force intimacy. It does not feel good. Like, I'll just say, use this word, it's like non-consensual, right? Like, when you're forcing like that, when you're forcing intimacy, it doesn't feel good. And a hard truth is that needing answers now, because a lot of times in that push-pull, like you're pushing and you're driving and you're trying to get it, needing answers or trying to get something in the now is because of that inability to sit in the discomfort of the unknown, right? So this is part of what feeds the cycle of the push-pull and ask yourself, how willing and how able are you to sit in the unknown in your relationship? Really sit with that. How willing and able and capable are you of doing that? How much access do you have to that? And it's like having a surprise party. Like, And I'm going to guess some of you don't like having surprise parties, or maybe you like to plan them. Maybe you like to go to them, but like, you probably don't like surprises, right? And I get it. I get it. If you hate surprises, I love you, but that's a control issue. That's a you thing, honey. So when you are able to, when you think that you're open, but really you're not behaving in an open way, it's a really narrow way of being in a relationship, right? It's rigid. And when we aren't able to bend, and I'm not saying, again, push over, I'm not saying that you have to be easy. Again, that makes the relationship hard, but like you have to have some like resiliency inside yourself, right? And if you're too rigid, if you don't bend, you break, right? That's just like, look at it like a piece of wood, right? Well, I'll just tell this analogy because it's one of my favorite stories. But my mentor, I used to live in Virginia, and there was a hurricane, and like back in the day, hurricanes were no big deal. It was like just a big thunderstorm that lasted for a day or two. And what we noticed was that outside, the bigger trees broke, the bigger, thicker, older ones, and they had just planted some new like saplings on the road. Those literally had all of their leaves stripped off. And we were watching the storm kind of pass through, and the hurricane, and the trees that did the best were both strong and flexible, right? They maintained their leaves. None of the branches broke. They also weren't stripped of their leaves, which like some of those saplings died because they were too bendy, right? So you want to have, a lot of times we are one or the other, right? We are one extreme or the other. We are too rigid in that dynamic. And so that's what happens to the dynamic in the relationship. Or you are flipping, flopping all over because you need both. It's like two wings of a bird. You need both strength and you need flexibility. And a lot of times you are weebling and wobbling to one or the other extreme, right? So needing those answers now is because of that inability to sit in the unknown, right? And when we start to trust people to show up for us, when we get to see that action that builds the trust, love is a verb, right? And you have to see it in action. So if you are taking up all the space and not letting that person show you, then yeah, you're not going to feel the love, but not because they're not wanting to or not doing it, but literally because you're taking up all the space, you're doing all the action in it. And we have to feel love. Love is a verb, love is an action. You've got to let them be able to show you and to do that for you. And very similar to my one-on-one client, S, she learned, and we've built that internal infrastructure to feel that trust, to allow, even in dating, to allow, this is actually what I want to feel like. Right? Having both of those skills, right? The strength and the surrender. So I was thinking about a DM that I got, which was around blaming herself. The gist of it was blaming herself for something going wrong. Like the thing, what did I do wrong? And I see this a lot. Like a lot of times, what did I do wrong? What happened here? And while I totally understand that, it's a very common reflex and a response, reaction, I should say, to think, well, what did I do wrong? Like, what was wrong here? And I want to say this, and again, I love answering a question with a question, is what if it's not about you? What if it is not about you? Humans in general, right? Humans hundreds of years ago, not that long ago, literally thought we were the center of the universe. Literally, we thought that we were the center of the universe, like the sun revolved around us. Okay, not that long ago. Okay, and healthy relationships are, it's not about you, right? It's not about you all the time, and especially if you tend to go into what did I do wrong? Well, I did this right. I'm doing all the right things. Healthy relationships aren't courtrooms, right? There's not like this guilty or not guilty verdict at the end. There's no good or bad, right? It's not about right versus wrong, because anxiety is going to make you think like that, right? Well, anxiety is going to amplify the results of thinking and feeling and behaving like that. All right, it's only going to amplify it. So if you have that propensity, or you have that tendency, or you have a habit of going from 0 to 100, I see this a lot too, being all or nothing, that is going to cause you anxiety. I guaranteed. When I look at my clients, when we start to look at the big changes, it is managing and learning how to be a different way instead of being all or nothing. That right there, you tended to go to the gym, or you don't go to the gym because, oh, it's not going to be the same workout, I can't go. That is going to make you more anxious in relationship. So, I also wanted to say that the most secure version of you that feels confident and who feels safe inside yourself isn't thinking about this the same way. Straight up, not thinking about this in the same way. And if you are ready to think about it in a different way, I do have a spot open in 101. So if you've been listening for a while and you're ready to go deep, and you're ready to face this pattern, and you want your feet held to the fire, that's what 101 coaching is for. And the link is in the show notes. All right, angels, I'm sending you lots of love. Mwah.